All right, so here's the deal. What is your favorite Brian May solo of all time? Like, which one does it for you? Which one was the game changer when it comes to Queen's guitar playing? You see, going back a couple of years, one of my friends on a random day sent me this text message. And the text message was a meme. And the meme said something along the lines of, if someone is really your friend, like if someone really knows you, they'll be able to sing all of the parts to Queen's opera section to Bohemian Rhapsody, every single part, and they'll know it with you. What my friend didn't know is that at the time I had a deep, dark secret. Not just as a guitar player, but something that would get me pretty much completely ostracized if I ever told anyone in my close musician circle. What was that secret, you might ask? I didn't like Queen. Yeah, and before I get completely canceled, you gotta understand a little bit of context, okay? I never listened to any rock and roll growing up. I mostly listened to hip hop and a few songs by The Fray. Yes, you heard that correctly. I didn't even hear the song Bohemian Rhapsody until I was about 18, and once I started playing guitar, all I knew about that song was this lick right here, which was spammed so much on Instagram and various social media platforms by guitarists that I was so sick of that song. I just didn't want to hear that lick anymore. I just didn't want to hear it. And the only other thing I knew about Queen, unfortunately, came from the biopic that came out in 2018 that I had watched, where I was really unimpressed. So I just thought I was different, you know? I'm just that guy who doesn't like Queen. Queen just doesn't do it for me. I thought maybe that would never change. That was until I revisited the Live Aid scene from said Bohemian Rhapsody movie and actually looked up the real concert and started to watch it. And Freddie Mercury was incredible. Seeing him do his thing, seeing him sing, that whole performance was unbelievable. But there was something that struck me. Something very, very small. See, in watching that performance, there was a song, really famous Queen song, that I didn't even realize was written by Queen. It's called We Will Rock You. Growing up, I had heard that song and it had become pretty iconic, no matter what generation you were in. But I had never really listened to the full mix and gotten to the guitar part. And once I listened to that one chord, one simple little chord being played, it was immediate. It was like everything changed. It was one of the most powerful chords I had ever heard. And then that riff right after, it was like hearing something out of Dragon Ball Z. It was so rock heavy and there was so much energy infused into one part, one small little section of one song. And I was like, okay, what other Queen songs do I like? Let me take off my biases for just a moment, just a tiny little moment, and see why people love this Brian May guy so much. Like, I've seen that Queen is great, but why is this guitar player able to, with one chord, floor me so much? So I went into a semi-deep dive, and one of the first songs that I found wasn't even a deep cut. It's called Don't Stop Me Now, and that immediately became one of my favorites. But I started to notice that the solo to that song really stuck out, and it's because it wasn't like anything else I was listening to. You see, Brian May isn't just a pentatonic player. There's nothing wrong with playing your pentatonics, but I noticed during the song, if I had been playing over that solo, it would have sounded something like this. But the way Brian May was playing it, it was so different. So the song happens to be in the key of F major, and the solo plays over the same chords of the verse, a very simple 5-chord progression, but he starts with these bends. And I could already tell, like I said, that this was very different from a lot of the like Stevie Ray stuff that I would listen to before. Not that that's worse, but it's just cool seeing the way he uses just the major scale. And then he continues to kind of emphasize that major scale sound by starting on the 4 and emphasizing that note to start the next phrase. And then he does something really cool, which is something that I hadn't done basically ever in my soloing. He bends up from the 4 to the 5 in a really dramatic moment in the solo. and he's keeping the same rhythm mindset as from the first lick. So it's like you're getting that familiarity just with different notes and with some slightly different timing variations. And it's like it's familiar to your ear, but it's still different. It's so cool. And bending up from the 4, the full step, to the 5, he's targeting that C note as soon as the 1 chord comes, which is the F, which is what makes it hit so hard. Finally, he ends bending again up and down to the 3. Now, there's more intricacies to the solo and to the lead guitar playing as a whole in this song, but what I noticed was, like I said before, Brian May is a composer. And yes, he can improvise, and yes, he can shred, but it's the way that he works around the already complex chord progressions that Queen has. And even moving back to thinking about Bohemian Rhapsody again, I was like, wait, that solo is composed so well. Now, to put this all together, would I say that I effectively became the biggest Queen fan of all time? I only listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, and Brian May is my favorite guitar player of all time, and I'm going to definitely get his signature guitar. No, even though I think his signature guitar is one of the best looking, like, non-traditional signature guitars of all time, I get it. And I think I've gained an appreciation for Queen, especially seeing Brian May as a guitar player. I said it 1,000 times before in this video. He's a composer, and he's one of the best composers I've ever seen in rock music. In just listening to a couple songs, he understands melody so well and how to use the major scale and even break out of it into, like, these unique arrangements that just, like, make no sense with how much they can make you feel from a simple guitar solo. So Queen fans, I understand you. Like I said, will I become one? Will I become a Queen stan? It's left to be seen, man. It's left to be seen. I think I'll need to listen to a lot more of the deep cuts, not just like the greatest hits, and really see like which one of those hits. Because anyone can love Don't Stop Me Now. But it's like when you really get into like the meat and bones of like who Brian May was as a guitar player and start to understand more about his tendencies. So let me know in the comments, what are the really deep cut solos from Brian May, or even some of his solo work like post Queen that I really need to get down with as a guitar player. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Taking a look at Queen, like trying to break it down for the first time. Like that was literally some of the first time I've ever played some of those Don't Stop Me Now licks and trying to get the bends right and trying to get everything else right. And it was really fun to play along with the track and see how much energy that song actually has when you know the solo. If you like any of the tones in this video, they came from the Les Paul, which I pulled out just for you guys. Brian May has that like classic AC30s, 70s tone, so I wanted to get as close to that as I could as possible. If you want to know more about any of that gear, you can get it all from Sweetwater. The links are in the description. It's one of the best ways to support the channel if that's something specifically you want to do, or if you're just really curious about any of these tones, make sure to check out the links. Also, let me know what other artists you want me to specifically check out, whether they're hate guys I need to like reform my opinion on or get a better gauge on what kind of soloing or what kind of guitar playing they do. And most important of all, like literally the most important of all of this, have a fantastic day. Can anybody find me?